Today's episode, Josh and I are going to look back on the ever so exciting weekend of men's and women's college basketball for the championships, as well as the ever so shocking top 25 under 25 list that ESPN put out, and Josh's crack at trivia this week. Next.
Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the Two Pointers podcast. We're glad to have you all back after another interesting week in college basketball. So, two of the most shocking things I have literally ever seen in a Final Four happened this weekend, in that Jalen Suggs hits a wild half-court shot at the buzzer to knock off 11-seed UCLA in overtime, only for Gonzaga to get absolutely drubbed by Baylor 2 nights later in the national championship game. Trevor, what did you think of this weekend?
I first want to give a shout out to the women's national championship, the Stanford Cardinals. We were probably not going to say anything about that unless something else crazy happened. Cardinal, is it Cardinal?
Plural, it's just Cardinal.
Cardinals, tomato, first national championship since 1992. Just want to say shout out to them for an awesome performance. And obviously it's surprising that UConn didn't win anything, didn't win the national title. I think we're all shocked when that doesn't happen. Nonetheless, the Suggs shot was my generation's, or our generation's, or whoever you want to say, was our generation's shot. It was one of these shots I feel like we're going to remember for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the other one I can remember, and I'm not going to quote the other one in any way possible because I feel horrible for doing that to you. But the other one I wasn't allowed to
Chris
celebrate.
Jenkins winning with the Villanova.
Greatest shot I've ever. That was my Leitner shot, like for our generation, for my generation, whatever you want to say. For me, as part of this generation,
I will say I think while it wasn't for a national championship, Suggs' shot was better.
Suggs' shot made me think, what if Gordon Hayward's shot had went in 2010? That shot was the one I'll never forget because it's so ashamed it didn't go in. How sweet would it have been to say that we had a team named Butler as the national champion, who I forget exists after those players left, like Matt Howard and Gordon Hayward. But the fact that I'm not talking about the national championship yet, it shows you how good that shot really was. That shot, Suggs is awesome, man. Like, he's a superstar athlete in every way. Like, he's 3 or 4 sports. He could have played baseball, honestly, if he tried. But yeah, he was a great quarterback in high school, got the athleticism. He's one of those guys that, like, what I took away from it, outside of the fact that it was probably one of the coolest shots other than the Jenkins one, was that he's one of those guys that I just know. We're going to do our NBA draft guide or our NBA draft coverage at some point very soon, with this little point here between college basketball and the playoffs starting. But Suggs, like, he's one of those guys that play made me feel like, regardless of the shot, it was all the stuff leading up to the shot that made me think, like, he's going to be a pro. Like, he's going to be a really great player. He seemed prepared. It's almost like you go back and watch that. Homework for the listeners, haven't had given a homework assignment in about 3 weeks. The way he engaged and the way he was already ready for the ball and he was ready to go. It's like he knew exactly where he was going to cut. He knew how he was going to react if a defender came up to him. They gave him a great look because they didn't want to foul. He just looked like he knew what he was doing. He looked like he went for the bank, everything. It was just perfectly executed. The championship, however, biggest thing I took away was just, man, Baylor, the team of dreams, man. Like, for Coach Drew to just say those things in 2003 and to think, like, this many years later for them to pull this off, like, honestly, like, I'm upset at myself that I didn't pull for them a lot harder throughout the year. Like, Baylor just – They really, like, they felt like I'm not trying to be corny, but they felt like America's team. They felt really exciting, man. I was really happy to pull for them because, and this is really all I have otherwise in the sense of, just first reactions to it. I said to my girlfriend sitting on the couch, I watched every second of this game. I said to her, this game's over. There was 15 minutes left in the first half when I said that. I said, this game's over. I can't believe I said that. And I think I was right.
Well, and not to take away from Gonzaga, like, I other than some turnover issues in the first half, I wouldn't say Gonzaga played a bad game. Baylor just played one of the best games I've ever seen. They were making everything. They just weren't missing. Davion Mitchell and Jared Butler were playing incredibly. The two big men for Baylor were getting every rebound. They really they outplayed Gonzaga. They outplayed the undefeated team, and that's why it's hard to go undefeated, man.
I'm going to say this because I truly believe this, and I'm okay with the 500 people that listen to this podcast to hear this. They're the third most talented team I've ever seen play.
Baylor?
No, Gonzaga.
Gonzaga.
They really are talented. Baylor is a good team. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, they have a lot of NBA guys. There was a lot of NBA talent on that floor. That's what I look for when I look at Final Fours and Elite Eights. I want to see guys that come out of nowhere and shock me, like Timmy, who I'm not going to talk about very much because some people in my life think that Timmy is better than Suggs, and I'm going to leave it at that. However, Gonzaga is the third best team I've ever seen talent-wise. Timmy,
well, you have to say who 1 and 2 is.
100%. Number 2 is the 2009 North Carolina National Championship team, and number 1 is the 2012 Anthony Davis Kentucky team. Those three teams, and I think you could put those three in any order, quite frankly. But for people to say Gonzaga is the best team they've ever seen play, like, I think they forget that those two teams existed because they were really good. Don't get me wrong, and they're going to have. I'm not going to say 3 lottery picks, but they're going to have a couple first rounders on this team for sure, and they're going to be guys that are going to contribute. Don't be surprised if Kispert is some guy like, that's JJ Redick type in terms of just shooting the ball really well for a long time and just contributing for 15 years in the NBA. Don't be shocked. He's going to be that kind of guy.
I will say, I think you could also, they're not a team that won a title, but you could throw the 2018 Duke team there that had with Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, and Cameron Reddish.
Yeah.
We're talking about guys that are going to go pro and just have an incredible impact.
Yeah, if we're talking about talent, for sure. But talent, yeah, that team was, look at that. Three NBA starters. We'll get to some of those guys in a little bit here. One thing I will say that I took away from that game is that truly showed you just how important the changing of college basketball. We can digress, in another pod for sure, and just how college basketball is going to evolve and change just in the next 5 to 10 years. It's at a turning point, I think, for sure. And I think it's definitely, we'd be crazy not to address it. But nonetheless, I think it showed you that Baylor is one of those examples of teams that don't write off a team that has 3 or 4 guys that are experienced, that have been playing a long time, that have really, trusted a coach like Coach Drew. They're a team that we're going to look back on and go, okay, we need to believe in them more. Right. And now granted, we've all been wanting Gonzaga Baylor the whole year. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of people had Illinois. A lot of people were writing Baylor off because Illinois was on their side, and Illinois, obviously you saw what happened to them. So yeah, Baylor came in. They honestly, the first 3 baskets, I was blown away. I was like, okay, this team wants it. Now granted, when you hit what they shot, I want to say it was 39% from 3, 42%, something like that. When you shoot that well from 3, you're going to win that game every time.
Mm-hmm. I will say, I think it's still one of those things where it's a bit of an anomaly when an unexperienced team wins a championship. Usually the teams winning national titles are older junior, senior teams. It's while there's a movement for these kind of freshman super teams almost. Those teams rarely win titles, 2015 Duke being the one exception. Otherwise, if you look at the past title teams, they're all older guys.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you had any examples, and that 2015 Duke was the first one that came to my mind.
The only exception that I can think of a younger team. Otherwise, it's older teams.
Exception to the rule.
Maybe go all the way back to 2012 Kentucky, but when you're looking at that, you're looking at 2 out of the past 10.
Yeah, and 2003 Syracuse to go even further back, just to share the example of, it's an exception to a rule, and that rule continues to stand. I think a lot of people thought they were, the team of destiny, Gonzaga here. We thought it was going to be it. Do you think we see another undefeated team for a long time? Do you think we go a long time without seeing another one? I think in their conference, I don't think a Big 12, a Big 10, an ACC, I don't think a team does that. Maybe a Pac-12 team. Maybe.
I'm going to say no.
I don't know. I am too.
I think any undefeated team that we see in the tournament is going to come from a mid-major conference. because I think at the Power 5 level from a basketball standpoint, we're seeing a lot more parity. I mean, you look at last night's game, you had two basketball programs who have never won a national championship. That's incredible. Like,
Yep.
we don't see a lot of situations where teams who have never won are both playing there. There's a lot more parity. Guys are starting to move around to different areas. You look at a guy like Cade Cunningham choosing Oklahoma State. That's not a historical basketball powerhouse. You look at, I think, Chet Holmgren, the number one high school basketball player in the country right now, is people think he's going to go to Gonzaga next year, which props to Mark Few for continuing to reload. But the fact that your number one high school prospect in the country is not planning on going to a Power 5 school shows a change.
For one, I feel for Mark Few. Such a nice guy. And to see that happen again, to not see them win a national championship once more, they'll be back. They'll be back, and I think they'll finally
win
get it
one
done eventually.
Gonzaga will win one.
He's due for one
at some point.
There's look at the list of national championship teams in history, and there's always a team or two that just they're not Power 5 and they pull it off, and they're going to be the next one, obviously. I'll use this as a perfect segue unless you've got something else. I'll use this the segue for the top 25 way too early top 25 that has come out from ESPN. Jeff Borzello, to be specific. I do want to say the first segue is as of 2 hours ago that I did not notice until just now. Garza has won the Wooden Award. No surprise. The segue is that obviously he's definitely gone, right? So,
well, he was a senior, so
right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. So he's definitely gone. What I mean by that is, like, I'm just a little surprised. Like, was there a lot more seniors in that Iowa team? I'm surprised they're not in this way too early top 25.
Oh, that Iowa team
was fully
seniors.
Loaded. I remember you mentioning that.
All seniors.
So they're not on this top 25. That was kind of my cheap that was my cheap segue.
I think they lost the whole starting lineup.
Okay. So my first thing would be just, what are your initial shocks from this? Now, granted, I get it, it's a way too early top 25. It is way too early. It's night of, like, buzzer went off. He posted this. Like, what are your takeaways? Is there any teams that you think should be on here? And is there any teams you think shouldn't be on here?
Well, first, props to that UCLA is ranked second on the way too early top 25. I think that'll be one of those things that seems like a kind of a knee-jerk analyst put there right now. I think UCLA is great. I really like this UCLA team. I really like seeing a guy like Johnny Juzang that wasn't getting playing time at Kentucky go somewhere else, become a star. I love Mick Cronin. I think he's an awesome coach. I think we all loved watching Hep Cronin celebrate when UCLA did well throughout that tournament. It was one of my favorite things. And I like the team. And I'm like, while I said that we're getting like this parity movement, UCLA is one of those they are historically the greatest basketball program in college history.
100%.
And they've been like kind of in this rut for so long. And I'm glad to see them back with a coach that I think is awesome, in a team with a lot of talent that really plays together and plays team basketball.
Now, one thing that I think is glaring is that's assuming Johnny stays.
I think he stays.
I think he does too. I wouldn't be shocked if he did go, though, because I think he could capitalize. He's definitely a guy that's going to capitalize, or if he does, he will capitalize on a run like that and understand that, like, if he wants to, if it comes down to him playing for a national championship, if he's one of those guys, great. If he's not, he understands that this is the moment where he chooses to take the path to support his family if he'd like. So, yeah, I agree with you. There's nothing, I don't disagree in any way I think it's high, right? They just came off this great run. I agree with you, though. Like, it's amazing. There's generations of people, us included, that just have not remembered UCLA as a team like that, has not remembered them as a legacy, as a whatever, right? So, like, your father and my parents, like, they remember UCLA. Like, they remember them being really good. Like, they were like, recruit after recruit after recruit. Oh, yeah. Like Kareem, Bill Walton, like, the list goes on. Those are just the two off the top of my head. They were winning national championship. Yeah, from that long ago. Yes, the list goes on. The list goes nowhere after that in my head. I do think I don't. There's no one else I'd have above them right now. I mean, Kansas is returning a lot of players, but my biggest takeaway is, why the heck? I almost said the bad word. Why is Maryland 6? What seed were they coming out of this
They
year?
were a 10 seed, I
They
believe.
were a 10 seed. Why am I missing something?
So
now, granted, they are transferring. They are getting a transfer. Let me be clear.
Yeah, so Maryland has 2 new starters from the transfer portal recently. Fats Russell from Rhode Island,
Awesome
and
name.
I'm going to butcher this name, but Qudus Wahab from Georgetown.
I actually think that's correct. Now, granted,
Okay.
That's the same guy that can't say Chris Boucher's name.
But so those are Maryland just stocked up. They hit the transfer market early. My biggest thing, like a lot of times with these teams, is people will these guys will come in and people will be like, "Oh, this team's loaded," but the issue can come into if you got a team of guys who haven't played together before, there can be chemistry problems. That can chemistry problems with how they play on the court together. That can slow down that advancement for a team. It's not like the NBA where they have just an unlimited amount of time really to develop chemistry playing together. There's a lot of reduced time here for college teams. So that's where I'd be apprehensive about Maryland.
I think the number 11 Baylor, I think is solely out of respect, but they did reload a little bit. You mentioned reloading, and they got Langston Love, who's number 23 in ESPN's top 100, and they got Kendall Brown, who's number 20. So they reloaded. Don't get me wrong, but this is not a team I think we see competing for another national title again next year. They're not going to be defending their national title very, very heavily. I don't think they're a 1 seed next year, that kind of thing. I think that one was just more out of respect. I do like to see Arkansas a little bit high. I would have had Arkansas in the top 10. Arkansas's offense just continues to keep clicking every year, and that team, I don't think they're not going to be much worse. They also brought in another transfer in Tony from Pittsburgh. But otherwise, yeah, I think that some of these were just solely out of respect, I feel like. And I feel like this guy just didn't really – the one I did like, I will say, and if you have anything else, I liked let me find it here. I liked Oregon at 20. I think Oregon's just, they always find a way to get it done. You mentioned the transfer portal. They always find a way to compete and be a team that's going to, scare you if you're playing them as a mid seed in the tournament. And then I really do like Colorado State as someone who got to watch their team in the NIT, which it's disrespectful that Colorado State was in the NIT. They made State look like a high school JV team. Like they are a really good team. They're talking about returning guys. They're returning everyone. And they're fast and they play really hard for their coach. They're a really good team. I think they could get out of the Mountain West next year. I really do. I think they could be one of the teams that gets out of the Mountain West. Otherwise, I don't really have anything. I think it was just kind of pick your poison after the first 8. Do you have anything else from that list?
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of those fun things to see. Like you start looking forward to the next season. We did not mention that Gonzaga was the way too early number 1. Gonzaga is only expected, I believe, to lose Kispert and Suggs. Now, I don't want to say only as in that's not a lot, but like they're still going to have Nimbard. They're still going to have Timmy. They have Hunter Salas, the number 8 high school player in the country coming in. It's expected that Chet Holmgren will commit there. There's all kinds of smoke swirling around a Walker Kessler transfer to Gonzaga. It'll be interesting. Gonzaga is going to have a loaded team. I believe you could safely go ahead and call them to win the West Coast Conference next year. I know it's a hot take.
Not at all. I will say, yeah, the Salas, his ranking has changed. I don't know what. I think someone reclassified because he's now 13. I was really surprised. Okay. I thought he was in the top 10 too. I saw that today when I was reading this article, and I'm like, wow. Like, somebody had to have reclassified, and I didn't see it for some reason. Yeah, they're projected to have Nembhard, Salas, Harris, Dominic Harris, Anton Watson, and Drew Timmy. Like that team's going to be. That team's going to be.
And that's a lineup because they don't have a Holmgren commit yet, and it's
which could
highly expected that Holmgren will commit to Gonzaga, and he would be in that starting lineup.
I think Kessler. I think Kessler wants to shoot the ball. By the way, you mentioned Kessler from Carolina. I'm not shocked if he goes back to Carolina after the head coach change, which we'll cover very shortly, as well as just in general. I think he wants to shoot the ball. Like I said, at Missouri, him and his buddy may just want to go and shoot the ball. I know Missouri was something I had seen earlier today, but otherwise, I think they're going to be good no matter Kessler not moving the needle. So I think they're going to be filthy. But yeah, also Purdue, by the way, just forgot to mention that Purdue at 3. That was pretty high.
They're bringing back all their starters.
They're just reloading it up.
They also have a 7'4" center, from what I've seen. So
nice.
Where size still plays a big factor in college basketball. Purdue is here to play.
All right. Anything else from the fun, exciting weekend in college basketball?
No, I think we can move on to today's controversy in the NBA, thanks to ESPN.
I wish this was a visual podcast because it's just me over here stirring the pot, like just in the circular motion, stirring that pot.
I'll introduce. If anyone didn't see today, ESPN Insiders released a list of what they called the top 25 NBA players under 25 based on future potential, which I think a lot of people missed. Trevor, what did you think when you saw the list?
First of all, they thought they were going to get a cash cow with this one. They required this to be an ESPN Plus exclusive, but
well, it was written by ESPN Insiders. That's kind of what that means.
Right. They did that on purpose. And I'll tell you that obviously NBA Twitter was going to ruin that because immediately I was sent screenshots. So, which I have ESPN Plus anyway, but I just think it was funny that that was their attempt. My first thing, I'm just going to
Well, first let's go over. So I'm just going to read through quickly the top 25 list, and then we'll go back over what the thoughts are. So starting at 1, going down, Luka Doncic, Zion Williamson, LaMelo Ball, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox, Ben Simmons, Devin Booker, Bam Adebayo, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Brandon Ingram, Jaylen Brown, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Ja Morant, then Trae Young, Mikal Bridges, Domantas Sabonis, Anthony Edwards, DeAndre Ayton, Tyrese Halliburton, John Collins, Jared Allen, Lonzo Ball, and Colin Sexton. That's all right. 25.
I hope you're ready for this.
Okay, go for it.
Future potential. I totally understand. They 100%. I feel like I'm not going to be Stephen A. Okay. If you haven't seen Stephen A's clip, go watch it. I'm not going to call for people getting drug tested. However, for RJ Barrett to be left off this list is the most disrespectful thing I've seen this year out of a reporter. Period. That's it. That's the one thing I wanted to that took my attention the second I saw it. Where is RJ Barrett, who's helping the Knicks right now? I know Julius Randle. I'm not getting it twisted, Julius. I'm wearing, you know what's hilarious? I wish we were doing a video podcast. I'm wearing a Knicks t-shirt right now. I didn't even notice that. I did not realize that. RJ Barrett off this list, I almost lost my mind. Otherwise, a couple things in the top. We can talk about this in detail. Where do you think he should
be ranked on the list? Because I agree with you that he should be on it, but I don't think he should be very high.
Okay, he should be on the list. I agree. I'm glad you agree with me. A lot of people on Twitter, apparently. I would have him right now over Jared Allen, period. I would have him over Jared Allen. I would have him slightly over Colin Sexton if this is based on future potential. I think Colin Sexton is going to be good. I think Garland's going to be really good as well. Who's another, I think, small snub on this list. No pun intended with him being small. John Collins, I'd have him ahead of John Collins. I would not have him, believe it or not, ahead of Halliburton. And after that, I think it's pretty Bridges is getting up there and he's 24 and a half. I would probably have him over Mikal Bridges. And then I would definitely have him over Michael Porter Jr. I think he's going to be a better player than Michael Porter Jr. I think it's just, I'm tired of seeing the Michael Porter Jr. like overhype. Like I want to see this dude consistently compete without having a back injury, without having an ankle injury, without having a neck injury, without having these injuries that should scare people for multiple months and years. Like he was out for most of his, end of his college career and into the beginning of his NBA career. The other
play devil's advocate here. I will say one could make that same argument about Joel Embiid.
Correct. Joel, well, hold on.
And you're very high on Joel Embiid. That's why I'm making the point.
I am. I think
Joel Embiid also has a lot of injury issues, but when he's playing, he's great.
Joel Embiid's the second most dominant big man I've ever seen.
Yeah. We'll discuss that another day.
Ja Morant at 15 is disrespectful. Like,
really, I thought the thing that I thought was so Trae Young is 16th.
That's disrespectful too, bro. This whole list is disrespectful.
What?
This whole list is disrespectful. Period. That's the word I'm using. Disrespectful.
Like, why is Trae Young like 8 spots below Bam Adebayo in a future potential ranking?
Why is Jamal Murray, who does not decide to show up until the playoffs, why is he at 13?
Because we've seen Jamal. How high he can go
for 26 games.
But it's a potential.
I know. I'm done. Like, I want this podcast to be clean because I want to continue to make sure that we get listeners concurrently. It's taking me everything not to say something because I cannot believe this. I think Shea being at 10 is kind of disrespect. Shea should be a little bit higher. I like Shea, man. Shout out to Grayson for continuing to tell me to watch Thunder games even though they're getting blown up by 30 to Detroit. However, this is it right here. And then we can digress on the number one thing that I'm sure that people are debating on Twitter. And I haven't even been on Twitter since this was posted, like that much, at least haven't seen much about this. Devin Booker at 8 is 100% in the top 10 most disrespectful thing I've ever seen. The man in the last 5 games has averaged 37 points per game. And Chris Paul's the best player on his team. I'll be clear right now. Chris Paul's the reason that they're obviously the first time in his career that they've won this many games through this point in the season. They are going to be my pick out of the West, like I said 2 weeks ago. They're going to be scary. He's going to be the reason for that. Ayton's going to continue to play good defense too. Ayton, by the way, was hold on, let me go far enough back on this list. Ayton was below his teammate Bridges. Ayton should not have been anywhere near 20.
Yeah, I don't honestly know why Mikal Bridges is on the list, considering that we've only really seen at this point 3 to 4 months of promising play. But so to look at it from the top.
Go ahead. I know what you have. Go ahead.
Okay.
I know
Luka Doncic at the top.
Are we disagreeing there?
Yeah, I don't think Luka Doncic is the highest potential player. Like, if we're talking potential, I'm not saying you're stunned. I get that. If we're talking, I know I love Luka Doncic, but if we're saying highest potential ability in the NBA, no one has greater potential than Zion Williamson.
Okay. All right.
Period.
Okay, I can breathe a little bit.
I'm worried that Zion's career will be cut short by injuries, but if we're talking about potential
100%
for long term, he's the most talented young basketball player I've seen ever. Because I wasn't old enough to remember watching LeBron James at 18.
I'm still taking Luka, but I don't disagree with anything you said. I'm taking Luka solely for the fact that
I think we're close to seeing Luka's ceiling.
I think you're right, but I think we're not close to seeing the fact that we're going to be like, holy cow, why is this guy still really good? And it's his 17th year in the NBA.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's, I think, when you say future potential, that's part of what you have to consider, right? But can I, before we'll get to you know who in a moment. I'm not forgetting about it. Honest question. I actually have no idea the answer to this question, and I hope that there's some people in our friend group that we can't talk basketball with just for sheer, like, I think they're just messing with us with things they say. But I will say this. Who do you, right now, for future potential, right now and future potential, I want to know both answers. Would you rather have right now De'Aaron Fox or Ben Simmons right this moment to build your team around and try to win a championship this year? Or would you rather have Ben Simmons or De'Aaron Fox?
You said right now or for future potential?
I'm going to ask both.
Win a championship this season?
You're going to try to build the best possible team you can. Scenario out the window. Like, who would you rather have this year to try to win a championship, De'Aaron Fox or Ben Simmons?
I prefer De'Aaron skills as a point guard.
Okay. I figured you might say that for right now. Future potential, big top 25 under 25. This is BS list. Would you rather have Ben Simmons or De'Aaron Fox?
Oh, Simmons. Easy.
Thank you. Why is Fox ahead?
He's a 6'10" point guard that's incredibly athletic, who can pass the ball, plays great defense, and if he ever develops a shot, God help the NBA.
He's the closest thing to Magic Johnson we've ever seen in terms of just his build and his skill set. It's crazy to think that Fox is I think that's literally recency bias. It has to be. I've been really high. The Kings were my second favorite league pass team this year so far.
For whatever reason.
For Fox and Bagley and Hield and a couple different, like, for just the way they play together. Fox is awesome, but am I saying that he's better than Simmons for the rest of their career? No, absolutely not.
I think Simmons is too low on this list, even though he's at 6. I think he's too low.
Lastly, for me, and then we can do what. I'd have Tatum over Mitchell.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
No argument there.
So are you defending him like you will on Twitter? Being number 3?
You want to just – this is an audio podcast, so talk it out. Say the whole thing.
LaMelo Ball is ranked 3rd right now on this list at 19.6 years old.
Do you want me to say that it's too high? It's not too high.
No, I'm actually going to defend you. I'm going to defend
It could
it. Believe it or
potentially
not.
be too low.
Believe it or not. Okay. Okay. No. If Luka and Zion died yesterday, then maybe. But they didn't. So he's 3. I actually think he is 3. I think it's going to be, people are going to listen to this and go, wow, them two really are high on LaMelo. I am. I really think he's going to be I think he's going to be historically really well. Really, really good. Really well.
I think he's going to win Charlotte's first MVP award in franchise history at some point.
Now that's bold. I wish we were doing a video podcast. Hey, editor, roll the video. Oh, wait.
This is a 6 or 7 year in the future. If you want to hold on to this for 6 or 7 years till he's 25 or 26, go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. I will say only because of just how historic his numbers were prior to the wrist breaking. I think that's literally what it comes down to. I think he's truly the best 19-year-old we've ever seen, bar, Kobe, LeBron, Garnett, etc. So believe it or not, I'm going to defend it. If it's solely off of you wipe out everything we know about them in terms of, like, obviously Mitchell's a high on this list, I think, based on the fact that I think he's going to be good for a long time. D-Wade kind of esque. But yeah, I'd have Ball right now at 3. Worst case scenario, I'd have him at 4 with Tatum being at 3. That's it. I don't think that changes. And otherwise, I think a couple of different ones that just kind of guys I'm not high on regardless, long term, short term, doesn't matter. I'd have Shea over Bam. I'm happy to see Brandon Ingram at 11. I think eventually we're going to have to give up on the Brandon Ingram ship. We're going to have to abandon ship eventually.
He's about to be 25, I think. So
it's 23 and a half. That's why I'm saying we're not off the ship yet. We're still riding that ship for a year and a half. We being me and like 4 other people that still think Brandon Ingram's going to be like really good. People thought he was going to be the next Kevin Durant. I didn't think that. But yeah, it's just this list. Ja, Trey should be closer to 10 than closer to 15 and 16. Man.
Okay. Yeah. So last comment on LaMelo. Shouldn't be a surprise that that's the opinion, at least that I have, considering my "Is LaMelo the best 19-year-old we've ever seen" segment from several months ago.
He 100%.
Spoiler alert, it's either him or LeBron are the best 19-year-old in NBA history.
You 100% made me make that the title too. I'm so happy to do that. It was fun.
Yep.
It was fun editing that podcast.
The other snub I want to throw out there is to make a point. There are 3 rookies on this list.
Okay.
And I think they all deserve to be.
I'm forgetting one.
Ball, Edwards, and Halliburton. Where's James Wiseman?
Wow, dude. Wow. Dude. Yeah. Nice. Wow. Holy cow.
James Wiseman's looked good this year. I know the Warriors haven't always looked good, but James Wiseman has looked good. I mean, sometimes better than Edwards. I'd have him on here instead of Jared Allen, quite frankly. Jared Allen's better right now, but James Wiseman's 19, 20 years old.
Man, yeah, no, that's why. Man, I will say this though. I'm not going to defend Wiseman in this sense. He has not looked great this year. He's looked like a 19-year-old rookie who played 8 games in college. He's looked like a guy that's learning from a guy like Draymond Green. Love him or hate him, he's a really experienced veteran that knows what he's talking about. So everything he says to him, he needs to be writing down or absorbing because he's learning a lot from him.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I don't think Wiseman's going to turn out to be a defender like Draymond Green is. I think he's going to be a great NBA player.
Got a lot of physical traits going his way.
He does. I think he needs to continue to bulk up like he's been doing. They've got him in the ever so awesome, Warriors development staff, training programs and, facilities. But yeah, Edwards is one of those guys. Like I feel like I'm going to repeat myself when I say this, or I'm going to feel like I'm going to be using someone else. I can give this guy the credit for saying this first, but I feel like if you gave me 3 different scenarios for Anthony Edwards' career, I would believe all 3 of them. If you told me he was Dwayne Wade 2.0, who he idolized growing up, making me feel old. If he turned out to be, say, slightly worse than Tracy McGrady, role player, 18 points a game, role player, off the bench, 6-man, something like that, right? Maybe. Or if he turned out to be Anthony Bennett, not Anthony Edwards, I'd believe all 3 of them. I would. And I'll give credit to Bill Simmons for saying that first. I totally agree with it. I think he's one of those guys that people saw that, you see the current age of TikTok and Instagram and where we are with NBA highlights that we covered a few months back. people were like, oh my gosh, Anthony Edwards dropped 40 the other night. He also took 40 shots doing so. Now, granted, bad team, Russell's out. I get it, right? They're still going to be horrible for the rest of this year, but
maybe he's playing with Cade next year. Maybe he's going to get some help on.
Or he's playing with Suggs. We'll see. Depending on how high they are. But if they
I don't know
draft
how the lottery
guard,
will work out. But
yeah, if they draft another guard, I think Timberwolves fans are going to lose their mind.
Cade, a guard or a small forward?
Culver still hasn't like shown that he's going to be worth that sixth pick.
No. But that's different.
Lastly,
we already spent an entire podcast, it feels like, on the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Absolutely. Lastly, for me, Lonzo has completely revitalized who he is as a player and who we think he was as a player. And he was not a bad second overall pick for the Lakers. He obviously was a vital piece in that trade. NBA Twitter disagrees with that statement quite heavily. I say that not as a Lakers fan. I say that as someone who watches the Pelicans play because Zion Williamson plays on that team. I watch them quite frequently. Lonzo has continued to show that he's going to get better every year, and he deserves to be on this list. Whether he's at 24 or whether he's near 15, I don't really care. I'll be honest. He's not a Laker anymore. However, he's awesome, and he's been awesome. His shooting has been unreal.
He has drastically improved this season, especially his shooting, like 100%. You said, which is the biggest knock on him. He was shooting better than Trae Young for most of the season. Might still be shooting better than Trae Young. Just let that sink in, everybody. Let's stop. Think Trae Young, who's considered like this gold standard after Steph Curry of 3-point shooting for whatever
this
reason.
Generation. Yep.
And Lonzo Ball has been outplaying him from there. He has earned. Now, I wouldn't put him higher than 24. It's another one of those I haven't seen. Like, I've seen a lot of bad, and then I've seen the past 4 months be great kind of situations where I'm not overstating it. But like you said, Lonzo Ball has earned his spot to be one of the highest potential guys.
I will use
Shout out to the Pelicans for having 3 high potential under 25-year-olds on their roster.
Absolutely. And things are looking up in New Orleans ever since, getting rid of some guy that will probably be a generational talent by the end of or generational all-time generational guy for our time, Anthony Davis. Lastly, for me, speaking of the Pelicans, I think this is a perfect end unless you have something else. Shout out to the Pelicans for signing Isaiah Thomas. It's great. It's a great day in the NBA to see Isaiah Thomas back. Love him or hate him. It's hard to hate him. He's been obviously an awesome story from being the 60th overall pick to being an all-star and being a top 5 in MVP voting in 2017. Awesome to see. I hope he plays the rest of the year. If they extend his contract, maybe it's an opportunity next year for maybe a title team. We'll see. I thought that was really neat. Shout out to the Pelicans. Yeah. What you got before we roll into trivia?
I don't think I have anything else. Oh, did you see the Space Jam trailer?
I did. This was like off the rails already. Oh, did you see that? Absolutely, I did. I thought it was insane.
It's a basketball podcast. Space Jam matters. This is culturally important.
We didn't, for 6 episodes straight, we didn't say, this is a podcast where 2 childhood best friends talk everything hoops. We do talk everything hoops. The Space Jam is awesome, and I'm so excited that LeBron's doing it. I think it's just, granted, Michael Jordan had his time with it, but I wonder who else is, I'm so excited. Who else is going to be in it? I'm so excited. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because obviously there was a lot of other guys in it, in Jordan's Space Jam. How many? I can't wait to see the guy. Do you think Anthony Davis is in it 100%?
I don't know. I feel like they do a lot of funny stuff with his eyebrow, to be honest, on the animation. This is Looney Tunes. Nothing is off limits.
Right. His eyebrow can come off of his face and go onto the court and dunk or something. I don't know.
Yeah. His eyebrow could dunk. It's a
I can call
Space Jam. There are no rules.
I'll call this right now. 2 of the 3 Banana Boat brothers are going to be in Space Jam. I don't know who 2 of the 3. I haven't decided yet. Chris Paul, Carmelo, and Dwayne Wade. 2 of the 3 of them will be in this.
Well, I think Carmelo will be one of them.
I think he will. I think Chris Paul will be the other. Because Dwayne Wade, I think, is out of the – I don't think he's in the limelight as much anymore for basketball reasons. He's in for just – he's just in general. He's a guy that people love.
Will Chris Paul be playing Cliff Paul from State Farm?
I don't know. This is not completely off the rails. I love it. I have no idea, actually. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I I know the trailer's gotten some mixed reactions, but first of all, you got to realize when you're going into a Space Jam trailer, The first Space Jam movie was terrible. I love it, but it's a terrible movie.
100%. It's hard to watch sometimes.
You just got to go in and just be ready to enjoy it. It looks amazing. Like Space Jam 2 trailer looks awesome visually. And I think it's just going to be a ton of fun and it's going to be funny. That's all.
By the way,
I mean, I'm not looking for LeBron to deliver me a best actor performance here. As long as he remembers his lines, I'm good.
100% we're going to, I don't know if we're going to go see it necessarily. I don't know how they're releasing it. I haven't seen that, but we're 100% going to not review it, but we're at least going to talk about it. It comes out July 16th, which is in a perfectly dead, it's literally the
Perfect
middle dead.
Well, actually,
perfect
it might
dead
be
period.
right at the NBA draft.
Right at the draft / free agency, but still, it'll be really awesome. And I think we're definitely going to at least spend 10 minutes on it. That'll be awesome. Or, you know what? If it's that slow, hey, so what did you think of this? just roll through it and see what happens. Take notes. I don't know. Awesome. So I'm going to segue us into trivia because it's your crack at trivia, and you gave me crap for not, or hope for you asked me basically that you better get a fair shot at getting 3 points this week.
I just said multiple points, but if you want to give me 3, that's fine.
Because right now, in terms of just wins or losses, if we didn't get the question right, it is what 1-1.
Yep.
It's 1-1, 1-1, right? However, points wise, I'm pretty sure I'm up 3 to. I have no idea. I need to write this down. I'm going to write it down right now. So I'm up 3-1. And overall record, it's 1-1 to 1-1. Got it. Cool. I love this. I'm glad we added this segment. Mine is again and I'm going to continue to try to bring it to the table every time for trivia. I think it's an awesome segment that I get a week's worth of time to research.
The trivia is about, it's about UNC, right?
It's about the ever so shocking on April Fool's Day retirement of Mr. Roy Williams. Yes.
Well,
100%.
Before we get into trivia, then I just want to say something on regards to it. Because, so off air, Trevor told me he didn't give me the question, so we're not cheating on this. He just kind of gave me a hint as to what it would similarly be about. But I just want to go ahead and say, one, as a lifetime Carolina basketball fan, thank you to Roy Williams for everything and for that. I mean, I learned basketball by watching Roy Williams' Carolina basketball teams play. I love college basketball first above the NBA, and that was great. And also an incredible congratulations to Hubert Davis as the new coach of the North Carolina basketball team. So that's all I had to say.
All right. So one of them is going to be just a freebie, and I'll give you an extra point if you get it. Because I out of all of my friends who are Carolina fans, I feel like you'd be the one I feel like would know the answer to this question. This is not the question, to be completely clear. This is just what I thought was really neat. North Carolina has more Final Four appearances than any other school, 20. But the Tar Heels are only third with 6 national championships, including last. Well, this was okay. So this website was off by a while, so this may not be. It's accurate for the question, but this I'm not going to read it verbatim because it says last year. It was when they played the national. This was 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah.
But let's see, national championship winning against Gonzaga. 5 coaches have led UNC into the Final Four. Can you name them?
Oh gosh,
all 5 of them. This is just for a freebie point because it's hard, and the second one is actually the actual question is a little bit easier.
Roy Williams and Dean Smith have.
Okay, if you can name the number, that'd be really impressive.
Bill Guthridge has.
Okay, that's 3. I'll just tell you that's 3. Wow. Okay.
Is his name? I always forget the name of the 57 coach. Is it Frank McGuire?
It is Frank McGuire.
There it is.
Okay. No. Wow. Okay. We're 4 for 4 so far.
So the 5th one that led him to the Final Four.
Can I tell you this? He led them to 1.
The other one led them to 1?
That's it. Just 1.
Did Darty get to the Final Four in his first couple of years?
He did not. That was a good guess.
So it was before Dean Smith, and I don't.
Yes. It was Ben Carnival. Carnivore. I have no idea.
I named every UNC basketball coach that I knew.
Wow. Okay.
That was not one. So.
You even named Darty, which was exciting. I just thought that was really neat. Another thing is just a signal to the end of college, or just a cool fact as the end of college basketball. The first ever game, the second ever game, or the 1,000th game in NCAA tournament history, the first NCAA tournament game in history, and the 2,000th game all featured a team that played in it with the Wildcat as a mascot. Villanova was the first national championship game ever, or first tournament game ever. They were also the 1,000th game, and they were also the 2,000th game. Unfortunately, the 3,000th game was played by San Diego State and Oklahoma. Just thought that was really neat. I just wanted to put that out there. I just thought that was really cool. I was like, this is neat. However, here's the question that we all came to hear that I think the listeners are going to be surprised when you go 11 for 11. There are 11. Let me just make sure I'm correct. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 11 consensus All-Americans that were coached by Roy Williams in his awesome tenured career, third all-time in wins. That won't be passed for a long time, by the way.
Consensus All-Americans, consensus first team?
It just says consensus All-Americans, period.
Okay.
If you can name if you can name all 6 Carolina, it's 2 points. If you can name, I'm giving you a hint. There's 6 Carolina players. If you can name all 6, it's 2 points. If you can name 3 of the 4 Kansas, it's 2 points. I'll give you 4 this time. Go. If you can name all 11
for you and tell you
I'll give you 5.
Name one of the Kansas players.
Wow. Okay.
I can name exactly one of his Kansas All-Americans, and that's it.
I can name. Believe it or not, before I looked this up, I was able to get 2 of them. So I thought that was really. I was really surprised. I was able to get 2 of them. I'll tell you in a minute. So if you can name, let's just say 8 in total, I'll give you the 3 in total.
Okay. I don't know if I'll get that because I know I can.
So best case
7.
scenario.
How many times can I get
6.
one wrong?
Oh, you can. No, this is just guess them, and I'll give you 3 wrong answers, or I'll give you 3. Name as many as you can. Just go. We're not on any time limit. Just
obviously Tyler, because Tyler won National Player of the Year. Tyler
Hansbrough is 1. I'm going to write them, or I'm going to keep score. Tyler is 1. Okay.
I want to say Bryce Johnson got one of the All-American teams.
He did. Bryce got one. Nice. That's 2. 2 for 2.
Sean May.
Sean May did. Nice. That's one I think a lot of people forget a little bit before our time.
So that's 3. Well, Sean still coaches at UNC.
I know. Yeah. He's a name in the light. I know.
Yeah. He's the big name for that 05 team. So one that would be tricky is you would want to say Marvin Williams, but Marvin came off the benches one year at Carolina. He was a number 2 overall pick, but I don't think he was an All-American. Harrison Barnes was an All-American.
That is not correct, actually.
Wow. He was a preseason first-team All-American.
But did not finish as a consensus all. This is straight off of College Basketball Reference, by the way. So this has to. I mean, I believe it. I think this is correct. I'm surprised by that. So Harrison Barnes is the miss so far. So you're 3 for 4. That's really freaking good so far. To be clear,
we'll go back to the 09 team and say Ty Lawson.
Correct.
Okay.
Currently, you are 4 for 5. I want to give you a hint so bad because you said you almost said one of the answers by accident.
Marvin?
No, it wasn't. No, I'm not getting that. That's a free guess. No, Marvin's not it. It's good. Okay. Good that you realized he came off the bench for a lot of that year.
Yeah. I almost said it by accident.
Common name.
I don't know. I'll go back to continuing to think through these. Oh gosh, we didn't.
I'm giving you a fair shot. Like I'm not. I'm not putting timer on this. This isn't like.
I'm trying to think. Like I can see the jerseys in my head that are hanging.
I can tell you one of them is not hanging yet.
One of them's not yet. Oh.
That I'm aware of, at least. I'm not a Carolina fan.
So
all right, I'll give you one hint off the Carolina list again. Nah, that's too easy. I won't give you this hint. I'll give you another hint. One of them, the most recent one, won a national title.
Oh, am I forgetting Justin Jackson?
You are forgetting Justin Jackson. Yeah. Nice. That was a good hint.
I was caught up in thinking because I know Joel Berry didn't get an All-American.
He did not.
But his jersey's hanging because he was the most outstanding player in the 2017 Final Four.
He won the Consensus All-American NC State Award for the most annoying point guard I've ever had to have my team play against. He was so annoying on the court, and
annoying means good, so I'll take it.
It does. He was awesome.
So I've named 5.
You're 5 right now. If you get one more, period, you get 2 points.
Of his UNC guys.
Yes. You're literally missing one UNC guy, if I'm correct. You are. You got Bryce already.
Just trying to track it back. I just feel like someone off of that 2012 team should have been.
Okay, I'll give you that you're correct on the year.
Did Zeller ever become an All-American?
Tyler Zeller did. Yes, he did.
Right,
100%. Bingo. I'm proud of you because I barely gave you a hint. The hint was common name, Tyler and Tyler.
Because I said Tyler
3 years apart. Yeah. So you got Zeller. That's awesome. So you got 2 points, period. So we're currently tied in terms of just points given.
One Kansas player I know is Nick Collison.
Wow.
That I know.
Are you serious? That's the one?
Yeah, it's the one I know.
That was the one of the two I didn't know. What? Okay. Next, you are at 7. If you name another Kansas player, you get another. You get a 3rd point. Right now, it's.
Can I ask if they did any, like if they had big did any of these other 3 have big NBA careers?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
One of them won an NBA championship. For an Eastern Conference team, that's the last hint I'm giving you. I feel like I'm giving the absolute most alley-oop at this point.
Gosh, I don't remember who played at Kansas.
All right, I'm gonna eliminate 2 of them if you can't get it, because I think this is the final. You're not gonna get any more Kansas ones. Yes, verbal confirmation. Okay, I'm gonna eliminate 2 of them, and then I'm gonna see if you can get this last one. So there's still 2 technically. I'm gonna give you. Jacques Vaughn was one of them, 96, 97, and Rafe. Is it Rafe LaFrance?
Oh, okay, yeah. Rafe.
He was nasty. There are 2.
I wouldn't have said that, but I do recognize it.
Yeah. That was believe it or not, LaFrance was one of the 2 I got. Actually,
I got Collison, so there we go.
Just kidding. He was not one of the 2 I got. Just kidding. No, he wasn't.
So you got Jacques Vaughn then?
Nope, I got the one you can't figure out. Actually, I got the 2 you can't figure out.
So there were 5 at Kansas?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if I said that. So I gave you credit for the Carolina. Right now, we're tied in points. If you get this.
Can I ask for the year?
1998. The year we were born.
For both of them?
No, for the one that you should probably get. And that if NBA fans care enough and want to torch you on Twitter, they can. And they deservingly so. I feel like after giving you every hit, I feel like I can.
Oh, I'm going to deserve it because.
Yeah, you are.
Just give me a second to think and I'll take a guess.
Let me see if this player won a national title.
Kansas didn't win any national titles when Hero was there.
Just kidding. I should have known that.
Okay.
All right, final hint.
I'm thinking through Eastern Conference NBA champions.
This is going to be a really fun podcast to edit for trivia because I'm going to have to edit all this dead silence. I'm just not going to let people have to listen to this. Eastern Conference, 1998, consensus All-American. Let me do another player out of his draft class. I think that might help. Okay, I got a hint for you. I'm not giving you the points, by the way. I'm 100%. I'm giving you every hint possible.
I got 2 points, so we're tied. So it's okay.
He was a 10th overall pick. He's in the news recently. He's relevant. Now I just want you to get it off my hints. He's relevant in the last 24 hours. Do not look it up. I see you going to
I'm just looking.
He has the same first initial for the first name and the last name.
I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know he played at Kansas. I would have guessed it before. I'm just going to be.
You know who it is?
Yeah, I know who it is.
Good. Say it for the listeners so you can be ashamed of yourself. Dude, oh my God.
I'm sorry. I didn't know where he played college basketball.
We can wrap this thing up. You got Nick Collison, but why can't this be a video podcast by now? This would have been the best. This would have been the best. I'm putting this in the blooper reel that I'm making. This is definitely going in the blooper reel, 100%. I don't have anything else. Do you have anything to outro us with?
Well, no, I want to guess who the other one is. We're not done.
The other one you're not getting. He's a teammate of LeBron James. I want to say they made the finals together for sure. He's bald.
Drew Gooden?
Yes, good job. That was actually, you got Drew Gooden fast. You got Paul Pierce. Shame on you.
Because I wasn't guessing for people that I thought played at Kansas. I didn't think Paul Pierce played.
Celtics Twitter, I have a message for you.
Yeah, no, I'm going to deserve it. It's okay. I deserve it. Kansas Twitter, you can come at me.
Kansas Twitter, Celtics Twitter. I promise you, Paul Pierce Twitter's not coming after you. All right, that's it. Paul Pierce has been in the news recently, so I thought that was really funny.
I started to realize it was Paul Pierce, and I just had to pull up my phone to check when he played college basketball.
All right. That'll about do it, man.
I'm sorry, everyone.
No, this has been fun. And once again, I look forward to next week. Anything else you got for me, Josh?
No, I'm not going to make myself look any more stupid.
Oh, man, it's a mistake. We all have it. It's okay.
I realize I named 7, so let's not get it out of context.
That was good.
I got 7 right.
6 of them were on your favorite teams.
Fair.
That was fair. All right. Well, it's been fun.
I can tell you which ones worked and which one weren't. All right, everyone. So thanks for listening to this. I hope you can laugh at me forgetting about Paul Pierce. This has been the 2 Pointers Podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Trevor.
We'll see you.